Hi guys, I hope you're well. The topic for this video is arithmetic sequences. What I would like you to do as a starter is to pause the video, then copy down these sequences and fill in the missing gaps. So pause the video, have a go, then press play when you're ready to carry on. Okay, these are the answers. Just to quickly go through them. So the first one, you can clearly see that it follows a pattern that you're adding 2 each time. From 1 to 3, you've added 2. From 3 to 5, you've added 2. And then to work out the missing gap is you're going to add 7 to 2. You're going to add 2 to 7 and you get 9. The second sequence here, what you could have done is you could have seen from 6 to 12. What do? You added 6. Okay, so that means each time you're going to be adding 6 as well. So that will be 18 and 30. The third sequence, from minus 10 to minus 9, well, the difference there is you've added 1 each time. Okay, minus 1, 9 plus 1 is minus 8. Minus 8 plus 1 is minus 7. Minus 7 plus 1 would have to give you minus 6. Okay, the fourth sequence, from 6 to 7, you've added 1. From 7 to 9, you've added 2. From 9 to 12, you've added 3. Then that would mean from 12 to 16, you're going to add 4. So you're adding by 1, and then by 2, and then by 3, and then by 4 each time. That's the pattern for that sequence there, for the fourth sequence. For the fifth sequence, okay, you've gone from 1 to 10. Now you can say, oh, I've added 9 here. But if you look at the next sequence, then you go from 10 to 100. And then you go from 100 to 1,000. Now you can clearly see you're adding a 0 each time. Anytime you see you're adding a 0 each time, then a little tip would be that would mean you're multiplying by 10 each time. Okay, so that's the rule there. And then to work out the missing gap, you'd have to do 1,000 times 10, and that would be 10,000. Okay. Now you see, the first three sequences in particular are called arithmetic sequences, and that's what we're going to be learning today. An arithmetic sequence basically means you're adding or subtracting by the same amount in that sequence. Okay. So this one here, they may give you a sequence 8, 12, 16, 20, and 24. They may ask you what is the 100th term of this sequence. Now, we can work out what the difference is. From 8 to 12, you add 4. From 12 to 16, you're going to add 4. You're going to keep on adding 4 to get to 20, 24, 28, so on and so forth. I can add 4 each time. So my first term is 8. To work out what my second term is, I add 4, it gives me 12. To work out what my third term is, I add 4, it gives me 16, and so on and so forth. I can keep on adding 4 until I get 100. Okay, no, I can keep on adding 4 until my 100th term, but that would be too long. So to do this in a very shortcut way is we can work out what our nth term rule is. Okay, so how can we work out what our nth term rule is? So let's look at this particular sequence: 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. So 4 is my first term, 8 is my second term, 12 is my third term, and so on and so forth. So the nth term rule would have to be whichever term I'm interested in times by 4. So it would be n times 4. Okay. So if I want to work out what the first term is, I'm going to do 1 times 4 and it gives me 4. If I want to work out what my second term is, I do 2 times 4 and you can clearly see it gives me 8. Okay. Now going back to my question, if it said what is the 100th term, okay, because 100 is the term I'm interested in. 100 would be my n, so I'll do 100 times 4, that will be 400. So 400 would be the 100th term of this particular sequence. So therefore the nth term for this sequence is just n times 4, or we can say 4n, okay? Because n times 4 is just 4n. What is the nth term for these now? What I'd like you to do is have a go. It will be n times 2, which is 2n. Okay, what about this one here? The nth term, what would it be? Is, you can clearly see, would be 6n. Okay, because 6 times 1 gives me 6, 6 times 2 gives me 12, 6 times 3 gives me 18, and so on and so forth. What about this one here? What is the nth term? The nth term here would be 5n. And this one here, what would the nth term here be? it would be 100n, because 100 times 1 gives me 100, 100 times 2 gives me 200, 100 times 3 gives me 300, and so on and so forth. So a question might arise, what is the seventh term of this particular sequence of 100n? What would I need to do? Well, n7 is the term I'm interested in. I would have to do 100 times 7, and that would give me 700. What about the 10th term? What would I need to do? I'm going to do 100 times 10, and that would be 1,000. What about the 18th term? How would I work that out? Again, 18 is the term I'm interested in, so it would be 100 times 18, and that would be 1,800. Okay. How can I work out though the nth term for more complicated sequences such as this one here? So 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, and 20. Well, what I can do, step one, is I can work out what the difference is. So the difference each time is I'm adding 3 each time. Okay, so the common difference is 3. Okay, and the reason I always say it's a common difference is because it stays the same. Then what I can do is I can list what the 3 times tables are. So my 3 times tables is 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. Okay. So the nth term so far is going to be 3n for this particular sequence, because 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 9, 3 times 3 is 9, and so on. So the 3 times tables, the nth term for it would be 3n. Now, if I list down the sequence that we were given to begin with, okay, what is our sequence? My sequence is 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, and so on. Now, the question that you need to ask yourself is, work out how to get from the times table to the sequence. So, how much have we shifted it to get from the first term, which was 3, to 5? How much have we shifted it? We shifted each of the terms by 2. So therefore, my nth term finally would be 3n plus 2. And that's how I work out the nth term for a sequence. Okay. What about this one here? What I would like you to do is copy down this particular sequence and work out the nth term using the same example. Okay. So step one is work out what the common difference is. So the common difference is you're adding, to get from 6 to 11, you add 5 each time. And then from 11 to 16, you add 5. 16 to 21, you add 5, and so on and so forth. So therefore, my nth term is going to be 5n. Step 2 now is you have to ask yourself, how has the table been shifted? So I list down my 5 times tables first, 5, 10, 15. And then what I do underneath is I list the sequence itself. So my sequence is 6, 11, 21, 6, 11, 16, 21, and 26. Then I have to ask myself, how much has the times tables been shifted? It's been shifted by 1. Okay, so my nth term would be 5n plus 1. Okay, all right. What I'd like you to do now is pause the video and work out what the nth term is for question 1, which is the sequence 4, 7, 10, 13, and 16. And for question 2, the sequence given is 9, 14, 19, 24, and 29. So please pause the video, work out what the nth term for those two sequences are, then press play when you're ready to carry on. Okay, step 1 is we work out what our difference is. So we're adding 3 each time. Step 2 is we list our 3 times table. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Now, what is our nth term for the 3 times tables? It is 3n. But how has the times table sequence been shifted compared to the sequence that we've been given to begin with? It's been shifted by 1 each time. So to get from 3 to 4, you add 1. To get from 6 to 7, you add 1. To get from 9 to 10, you add 1. To get from 12 to 13, you add 1. And to get from 15 to 16, you add 1 as well. So therefore, you can clearly see you add 1 each time. So therefore, my nth term for the sequence 4, 7, 10, 13, 16 is going to be 3n plus 1. And now the question might be, what is the nth term of 3n plus 1? Well, the 10th term is the term you're interested in. So your n would be 10. So you do 3 times 10, which is 30. Add the 1, gives you 31. Question 2 now. How do you work out this sequence here? 9, 14, 19, 24, 29. What is the difference? You add 5 each time. List the 5 times tables. The nth term for the 5 times tables would be 5n. How has the times table sequence been shifted compared to the sequence given? Well, to get from 5 to 9, you add 4. To get from 10 to 14, you add 4. To get from 15 to 19, you add 4. To get from 20 to 24, you add 4. And to get from 25 to 29, you also add 4. So my nth term for the sequence 9, 14, 19, 24, 29 would be 5n plus 4. Okay? And then to work out the 10th term is you do 5 times 10, which is 50, plus the 4 gives me 54. Okay? So the recipe to work out the nth term is just write these down. Step 1 is you work out the difference between the terms. Step 2 is you write out the times table of the difference. And then step 3 is you work out how to get from the times table to the actual sequence that you've been given in the first place. Okay? And that would help you work out what the nth term rule is. Okay? Finally, is how can we work out how can we work out sequences from the nth term? Okay, how can we generate a sequence from the nth term? So the first example is 3n minus 1. Okay, how can I work out what the first five terms are? So the first term is when n is equal to 1. So I replace the n with 1. That would be 3 times 1 minus 1. 3 times 1 is 3, minus 1 gives me 2. So my first term, okay, is going to be 2. Remember, 3n minus 1 means 3 times n subtract 1. Second term now. Once I work out what my second term is, n would have to be 2. So I'm going to replace the n with 2. That would be 3 times 2 minus 1. 3 times 2 is 6 minus 1 gives me 5. And so on and so forth to work out the third term, the fourth term, and the fifth term. Please pause the video, copy out example 1, and have a go at example 2. Work out the nth term, or work out the first 5 terms of the nth term 4n plus 3. Okay, so 4n plus 3 means 4 times n plus 3. So the first term is 4 times 1 plus 3 gives me 7. Second term will be 4 times 2 plus 3 gives me 11. Third term will be 4 times 3 plus 3 gives me 15. Fourth term will be 4 times 4 plus 3 gives me 19. And the fifth term will be 4 times 5 plus 3 gives me 23. And my sequence will be 7, 11, 15, 19, and 23. Notice that we're replacing the n with the term that we're interested in. Okay, so I want to work out the first term, I replace the n with 1. I want to work out the second term, I replace the n with 2. I want to work out the third term, I replace the n with 3, and so on. Okay, what I would like you to do now is pause the video and have a go at working out the first 5 terms of these sequences. Okay, so pause the video, have a go, then press play when you're ready to carry on. Okay, these are the answers here. So these are the first 5 terms of the sequence. Okay, thank you so much for listening.